Hey everybody, it's Chad Warren from the Adventurer channel on YouTube, and we'll just scroll through some of the recent videos. Why are there no new movies as inventive as old movies? Protestants are taught that they can accept Jesus, then do whatever they damn well please. Do I recognize a pattern connecting my name to other names in gematria? Other words with the same number in gematria?
Hey everybody, it's Chad.
So today I'm going to focus on the Jim Acosta White House press conference story about how he was banned from the press corps. And so this video is by a channel called Fully Sourced.
Media.
And as you can see, I think this is how much I've watched of it, about halfway. So what I noticed is that his analysis of the incident that caused Mr. Acosta to be removed, where allegedly he was laying hands on the woman that is in charge of handing the microphone to the different press members in the press corps. So you can see that kind of stuff here, and I think he does a pretty good job of analyzing it. So just to be brief, what happens is that, let me find it here, they bring on he shows video from another person who does some video analysis. I can't seem to see it right here. And then anyway, so what I saw in that video was it's kind of confusing, because this guy shows video of a guy who's supposed to be a video analysis expert, and I agree with what that guy was saying. Is that at first Jim Acosta's hand is slowed down and then it's sped up to look like a strike on her arm. I did see that. You can compare the two different sets of footage and see that, right? But I would agree with Fully Sourced here that his arm does go down and hit her upper arm or elbow and cause her to move into him, and her shoulder to dip and her elbow to dip, right? And then people are saying that she accosted him. No, she tried to get the microphone back, and he tried to stop that from happening, right? Which he shouldn't do. That's a defensive action he shouldn't do, because they have rules in there. And I don't care. I mean, I'm the most radical person I know personally, locally, and I am all about rules and in finding the truth, right? Like a judge or whatever. So a referee and whatnot. And this is a sport. Not that it's not real, but I mean, we should, both be fully dedicated to doing our best to analyze what's going on and take appropriate action. And number two, to be good sports and realize that if we're hateful towards each other as Americans or all throughout the world, then it doesn't matter if we're right. We're going to be in a civil war and it's going to be crummy. Even if we have a problem that we need to, a grievance we need to address. So he does then strike her aggressively to retain the microphone. So that seems fair to me, that his press credentials were removed. So now I'm asking, if you are a pro-Trump supporter, I'm telling you that, like, my bias is that I'll declare what my point of view is, if it's not already plain. My point of view is that everything is a scam, okay? They're still a ruling class. They are satanic. The rich people use a tactic called the Hegelian dialectic, which is to divide people so that they are easier to conquer. So just by having a two-party system, that itself is a tool designed to reduce the power of the many poor people to stand up against the few rich people. Because at best you can only get 50% of the people to support something. And then, you'd have to compromise from there and be cooperative. And obviously, I think we can, all of us, regardless of our point of view, just stop for a second and say, yeah, I don't think there's very many people listening. I mean, it's like tough to for me to even make these videos, because imagine if I have such a minority point of view, right? I mean, there's black people, that have a much bigger, if they were talking to black people, they would have a much larger group of people than I have to talk to as a truth seeker, right? Because a great majority of those people were watching Alex Jones and then believe that Alex Jones is legitimate when he will never mention Israel and Zionism. And he had Donald Trump come on his show, and then all those viewers went out and voted for Donald Trump, and that connected those alt-right people with the mainstream Republican people. So, those people are my enemies, because they're so obsessed with the outcome of what Lord Emperor Trump gives them that they don't even see how he's getting it, right? Like, I'm concerned about this migrant caravan. So I know that all these things are rigged to get everybody inflamed and cause chaos and divide us, so that the few who, it's like wrestling, they're all friends with each other. It's not real. It's literally wrestling. Donald Trump has literally been on WWE SmackDown doing the clothesline, and he's got this, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's friends with this producer guy for WWE. It's like wag the dog. Like, how do people, I don't understand the minds of other people that are doctors and much smarter than me, but they can't help but give in to this bias to choose one of these sides. I mean, yeah, I don't understand that. I try to call it like I see it. I don't care. You know what I mean? That's my goal, is to find out who's the best. I'll take information from wherever it is. Like Satanism is very real, right? But I don't see any good coming from Jesus. That's my struggle. I mean, how much more, trying to be true can you be? Christianity was taken over by Rome. It's been ruined ever since then. Jesus and the disciples were murdered for what they believe. Are Christians? No. Ever since Rome made it the state religion, it's your reward. It's all about hypocrisy. That's why everybody is mind controlled, because that's the real fundamental behavior. So I kind of respect these Satanists more, because they don't really hide their position. That's crazy, but it makes sense. So no, the people around me, white people or whatever, the whole race thing is this concept that comes from these Zionists. It's hard not to appear to ramble, because it is just such a mass deception, and that's why people choose to worship Trump or hate him, because they can't handle how complicated the lie is. It's just so deep, So anyway, I just wanted to comment on this because it just bothers me that the pro-Trump people will never admit. They will admit that Trump has, got a lot of flaws, but I mean, they won't admit things like, okay, again, yes, it is a concern that there would be this obviously well organized, funded by a George Soros or some rich person, some rich Zionist Jewish person, and there's good Jewish people that will stand right beside me and calling all this out is not actually Jewish. But they are in the minority, like 15% or less of Jewish people, because these are crypto Jews. They're people that took that position because it was politically convenient. And it's really Babylonian when King Cyrus, uh, he taught the Jewish people how to run government through all this treachery instead of fighting them, because that was in his interest, which is why the Zionists have put President Trump's face next to King Cyrus on a temple shekel to celebrate the opening of this temple in Jerusalem that to these Zionists is going to cause the Messiah to come. And just while I'm at it, the whole idea of aliens, that's why Steven Spielberg did that. I love the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But that's what the Zionist, Babylonian, Talmudic Jews believe, that they are alien spirits that have come to take over the earth because they are God's chosen people. So that's the most racist, world-dominating, kill everybody on the planet thing you could believe. And they, like, from my point of view, you can tell listening to them that they really believe that they are the good force. So that's how it works, you know. And then it confuses people because it's not just Jewish people, it's all these redneck Protestant Christians with this Stand With Israel sign in their yard around me here in Arkansas. The whole reason there is a picture of a white-skinned Jesus with blue eyes and Mary, it comes from Germany in the Middle Ages. The Ashkenazi Jews, that's what the whole place was called. That's what it was called, Ashkenazi, I think was what it's called. So, yeah. Sorry, look up the transfer agreement on C-SPAN's Book TV. Hitler founded Israel. The Nazis were full of Zionist Jews, of which Hitler appears to be one, because all these, his hometown where the records were was bombed to hide that information. And then these people, through this Sabbatai Zevi that followed this rabbi that was going around like having sex with people in the street and doing just exact opposite. That's what Satanism really is. Just do the exact opposite of what is correct, and it just, people can't compute, they just can't imagine that there's somebody out there that's behaving like that. So it gives you quite an advantage. Chaos against people that want the rule of law in order. So don't look at me as some crazy person. Don't look at me as some terrorist. I'm one of the few people that actually cares about the rules. Don't you? I've always noticed you work some job, it's just low level. People are like, just lie here. Just don't worry about it. It wouldn't take more than a couple $1,000s to pay people off to do whatever. Do you not think that? I think that from what I've observed about people. And paradoxically, it's because I inherited money that I kind of was immune to a lot of this fitting in with the world. So that's a weird paradox, that it kind of created a certain amount of spiritual strength in me that I don't care about money. I live in my truck now, and that's the other side of it, that I was weakened by inheriting this money. Because I, didn't grow up, and now I have a job that I really like, and I think it's going to be a lot better from here. But I'm still going to build a camper in my truck and have a tiny house and try to stay as far away from consumerism as I can. Because we are all guilty by using dollar bills. Because the House of Rothschild is who created Israel to be their own private army, and that's why AIPAC is the largest lobby in Congress, that America is Israel's bitch. Yeah, so America is on the chopping block, And all the power is going over to Israel. You can look at Brendan O'Connell. He'll show you about the Talpiot program, all the technology, all the Silicon Valley computer stuff, and all the aerospace industry. Israel is given all the technology that we American taxpayers pay for. So you can't be pro-military and that do you any good. I mean, yeah, at some point we're going to need to know people that can operate all that if they want to. I don't know what you call that. Is that a coup if we're the good guys? Because like Prescott Bush, the father of the Bushes, he staged a coup in like 34, 38, something like that. Because they're all Nazi people that funded that. All these corporate people, they don't care about nations, they care about business, which doesn't care about borders. So, did he get in trouble for that, Prescott Bush? No, he ran for senator. I mean, that's how stupid people are. That's how stupid they were back in that day to not know anything about it. And then, heck, what excuse do people have? You got the internet now. But their biases prevent them from even wanting to look for the truth. The number one bias is, there's nothing you can do about anything. Number two bias is, Jesus is going to take care of it. My understanding of Jesus is the Christ within. He said we would do everything he did and more. Standing up to power as individuals. Because these rich people, they're not individuals. They're like snakes writhing over each other in intercourse with each other. They're all intermarried. All these celebrities are children of this royalty, and the whole classic rock music came from children of military intelligence. You can look up Dave McGowan's Inside Laurel Canyon to learn about how the military here in the United States created the first all in-house movie studio. So, media is this powerful weapon. Fast food is a weapon that robs people of health in the form of poor nutrition. It robs us of money in that it's more expensive than cooking your own food, and then you lose the ability to cook your own food. So it's terrible to be on Facebook and see all these people in the third world that want to come over here to America, all these Mexicans that want to come up here for Hollywood and just trash materialism that's destroyed these white folks, or whatever you want to call us, and the Americans, and that as we were lied to by the Masons that the Native Americans were a threat. The Jamestown massacre. See how similar Jonestown, Jamestown? The Jamestown massacre was a scam pulled by the Masons, where that's what caused the big wars against the Indians. We were dealing with them fine, and then it became, we've got to eradicate these people in order to occupy America. And then, even in mainstream media, we learn about the American Revolution, and you can watch the Disney movie Sons of Liberty or Johnny Tremaine, where they're Masons. They meet at the Dragon's Tavern, right? That's this whole Satan serpent stuff, as those dinosaurs and all that stuff. But anyway, they met there, these revolutionaries, and pretended to be Native Americans, and then they dumped all this tea in the harbor. And I read recently that was no little deal. The tea was compressed into these bricks and was worth what today would be millions and millions of dollars. And then what do we have today? Basically, the modern Tea Party is not a good thing. I got caught up in that, having that Gadsden flag, "Don't tread on me." That's all a scam. Because the war on terrorism with 9/11, right, blamed terrorism on who? All these brown people over in the Middle East that are Muslims. So it's the most racist thing in the world that serves Israel only. right? And then the Muslims that you see that are crazy and are killing, having gay people jump off of buildings, and totally sent in a horde of migrant invaders into Europe, raping all these German women, and then the government coming on saying, just let them rape, don't say anything, let them live in your house, don't say anything. Literally, that's going on, been going on. So when people were talking about that migrant invasion of Mexicans here in America, that's what we're talking about. It's not that all Mexicans are bad. It's that people are being used as pawns in a chess game, and they are like the non-player character meme. They're not human anymore. They're not able to think, and that includes all the alt-right people who think that the NPC meme does not apply to them. Well, I can tell you, I am the closest thing to an actual player character. And that hurts me to say that because it sounds supremacist, but I mean, I didn't buy into Trump. You know what I mean? How could you be thinking that 9/11 is an inside job, but then you buy into Trump? You are the NPC. So the info warriors and the social justice warriors are just two sides of the same coin. And really what we're talking about here is, while there are these evil supremacists that are like trying to take over the world, then on the other end of the coin are people like me that are reluctantly having to face that I'm one of the few people, I don't know how many of us there are that watch these videos and they're capable to do anything about it. And we do need to obviously start organizing in the 3D world, and Brendan O'Connell talking about the Pirate Party is the closest example I have to do that. So some people have to accept that, yeah, there are stupid people and they're wrong, and you're going to have to get stronger in order for them to listen to what you're saying. That's what upsets me, is that people pretend to, they think they know your point of view, and they think they have defeated it with logic and reason in debate, but they haven't. They won't even look at this information. It's so glaring to me, the role of Israel, that I don't understand, other than they've all been scared to death by propaganda that, you know, they still believe World War II and Schindler's List and all this jazz. When I'm telling you, these Zionists willingly sacrifice their own people. That's what was going on when Moses went up to Mount Sinai to get the Ten Commandments, and he comes back, and the Jews were praying to the calf god Baal, which is about human sacrifice. When you are sitting your children on Santa's lap, that is the modern version of the calf god Baal, where back then it was understood you have to give to get, and that meant you know, think about it. People lived only to like 20 or 30 years old. They would have a ton of children because many of them would die, right? So for them to sacrifice children to appease God sounds crazy to us, but I mean, it was like no big deal back then, because that happened anyway. You see what I'm saying? So that's this whole problem of like, yeah, it's good to have material wealth so that we're not all like starving like in this third world type of deal, but the only reason those people are starving in that third world deal is because of bankers and wars. It's not because of humanity. So now we have all this advantage of wealth, in people don't use their smartphones to do what I'm doing and do something worthwhile. They just watch cat videos. So it's really weird, because it gets me in the point of view of like, how much do I really disagree with these rich people that run the world? Maybe we should kill 90% of the people. They certainly don't provide any purpose, and the robots are being, you know, built. As soon as those robots can be more than human, then the humans are going to be slaughtered. So I don't know what to say, you know. Just referencing what y'all pay attention to, this Jim Acosta video, and I noticed that all these pro-Trump people are like, "Oh, Jim Acosta is the most evil person in the world," you know. And it's like, well, yeah, you're right that he did act incorrectly. It does need to be banned, right? But the danger of that is then, do you want people are just so quick to pop to either side, hard left, hard right, and I sound like the radical, but I'm the one that can see that better than they can. Meaning, if President Trump is able to call all mainstream news fake news, and then what, favor Fox News or something, that's ridiculous. And then, of course, all the alternative media is all run by these CIA agents and all that jazz, like Steve Pachinik over on InfoWars. His job was to, he says he put Putin in power because the U.S. thought that was in their interest. Think about that. That's people whose job it is to lie and run the world through lying. It's just, and then they come on and tell the truth about it. And then I hate my peers because they can't see. People that are talking about conspiracies are talking about how the world actually works historically. And then people just like, I don't want to believe that. It's just so negative. Sorry. The truth doesn't give a crap about what you want. So I'm asking for people to do better analysis, and we need to call people out. And the problem with attacking all that is fake news is that Trump is fake news, right? And then the news itself is inherently fake. It has always been run by bankers. Look up Hearst Publications. I've been to Hearst Castle, you know, and this giant beautiful castle in California, and he is famous for staging the entire Spanish-American War. He told the president, if you declare war, and I'll give you the pictures that'll get people to back it. That's public knowledge, mainstream. I don't know what to do with you people, you know? Because you're going to be targeting me more and more in the future, because then the liberals believe, oh, gotta take the guns. Good Lord, they're doing that up in Maryland, literally coming and taking people's guns. And then you've got the legal weed thing, which everybody's just goes for, hook, line, and sinker. I like weed, but I don't like legal weed. What are you going to do? Now, because if you get legal weed, you can't have a gun. So that's obvious tactic to take that away. They're taking stuff from the left and the right. And then the pro-Trump people, they want to use the National Guard to stop the migrants. So that's having a standing army in America. The National Guard is not a militia. Militia is of the people. You see what I'm saying? And then if, like, think you're let's say you're pro-military. It was just Veterans Day yesterday. Well, now the National Guard's the one that's doing most of the work, and then they're constantly going from working some job and then going over to Afghanistan. And then the number one problem, isn't it, in the military world, is how do you adjust to go back to civilian life after you have been killing people for a living? So that's not good for a military. I just don't understand how it came to be that I'm the person that seems to be able to think halfway straight. It's just, human psychology is complicated like that. I guess it's because I've never felt rewarded by fitting into society. That's what it is. I don't want those things, you know. So I love y'all. Share your comments, like and share this, and just interact. You know, we need unity. The most radical among us need to be the people that find some something we can agree on, because I know that that is more important than even my perspective, right? It doesn't even matter what your perspective is. It's like if there's no unity, then there's going to be a civil war. So, what do we do to stop that? I'm learning how to live without a house, because Israel has the technological ability to turn off all the electricity, turn off all the computers, turn off all the nuclear weapons. That's the trump card that defeats technology, which is the god of this world. That's obviously ruling us. Is everybody's looking at a smartphone. I'm looking at the smartphone all the time. But you see how I'm honest? The other people just want to ignore, act like it's not happening. Love y'all.